Hello, my name is Von Braschler, and it's my honor to be your presenter tonight with this recorded Zoom lecture. I originally had hoped to be at Wheaton and to meet with all of you in person, but as we continue down the road with the pandemic, here we are with the Zoom, and I'm glad you're able to join us. The presentation tonight is Past Lives, and it will be from a theosophical point of view, but bring in other points of view as well. And it is based on a forthcoming book that I've written for Schiffer Publishing in Pennsylvania on the Red Feather imprint. And it'll be part of a new series of books. I didn't start out doing that. I started out as a newspaper journalist. And it's kind of an odd story how I even ended up being a part of the Theosophical Society, which I have been a part of now for, oh goodness, going on 40 years, believe it or not. One day when I lived in Oregon, I went outside my home to pick up the morning paper, and I reached down in the snow, and where the paper normally was a book with the cover torn off. And I thought, that's very strange. Where's my paper? But I thought, well, I can always get a paper later. What's the book? So no cover. You open it up. Don't judge a book by its cover, they say. And I pick up the book and I start to read it, and it's fascinating. It's a theosophical publication from Wheaton, part of the Quest book series. And it was written by the New Zealand author, Jeffrey Hodson, one of my favorites to this day. The book was A Call to the Heights. I read that book and I said, wow, how do they know this stuff? How do they know this stuff? And so I read it again, and I read it again. And then I wondered, where in the world are these people, these theosophists? So I'm in Oregon, I think there was maybe a lodge in Portland, but I wasn't aware of it. And I looked around. And I used to go to an island in the San Juans up in Washington State called Orcas Island. And lo and behold, there is a theosophical camp there, Indralaya. Beautiful camp. Highly recommend that you go to Indralaya. But I would go to Orcas Island as a journalist to gather information for an annual magazine. And I also had an advisor there. And I would consider him to be a metaphysical advisor. He was a psychic author. His name was Louis Gittner. And he was quite incredible. He would kind of recline and he would go into kind of a trance, and it was sort of like Edgar Cayce in a way. And he would get simultaneous transmissions similar to those that they would get at Findhorn in Scotland, a point he later verified when he visited and compared diaries. And he said, listen, Dorothy McLean, listen, Dorothy, we're getting the same transmission from the same energy on the same day, but hours apart, so they're not really simultaneous transmission. He said, listen, Louis, there's such a thing as a time zone difference. They were getting simultaneous broadcasts. Anyway, I asked around the island, and I went to the Chamber of Commerce, and I understand there's a theosophical camp, and they didn't know a whole lot about it. So finally, I just went there and honked the horn until somebody opened the gate and let me in. And now I lived in Oregon at the time. And I would sometimes go to New York on business. We would do joint publications with shelter magazines. We would provide the copy, and they would put their name on it and print it and circulate it. And we would get on a plane in Portland, and we would fly over to New York, very typically. And on one of these trips, we stopped for a moment in Minneapolis. Now I'm in the Minneapolis area right now. This is where I've lived since 1985. But how I got here is quite a strange thing. I was on this plane, and this woman in a stewardess outfit. I think we called us stewardesses back then. And this flight attendant walks up to me and she said, "I'm changing your diet. You need to have a fruit plate and you need to sit over here in this chair and I will be back to talk to you." I said, "What's going on?" She comes back and she said, she said, "I'm going to give you my card. And when you get to Minneapolis, I want you to give me a call. And we are going to start you on yoga training, yoga classes." She said, "I'm self-realization trained, the SRF Foundation in California." And she was apparently moonlighting as a flight attendant. So she gives me this card and I look at it and her name is Carol. It says flight attendant. And I said, "Well, okay." And I said, "Do I call the airlines?" And she said, "Turn the card over." And it said, Carol. She had a different name on the back and it said, yoga instructor. And there was a phone number. She said, "Now, when you get to," I said, "There's some misunderstanding." I said, "Thank you very much. But I live in Portland. I have no intention to ever be in Minneapolis other than to just stop and sit on the plane for 10 minutes while they load up more passengers here. And, I don't think I'll ever be in Minneapolis to have a class with you." She said, "You better keep the card." And she came back once again. She said, "Keep that card." So 3 months later, when the owner of the company suddenly moved me to Minneapolis, a total shock. He told everyone in the company that if you don't move to Minneapolis, that is the end of your employment. So I moved, no one else moved. And I got there and it was about, I think it was 1985. It was around close to Halloween time, fall. And I got to thinking about Carol Colleen and I pull out the card because I didn't throw it away. And I gave her a call and I said, "Okay, I'm ready." She said, she said, "You're here now?" I said, "Yes." "How did you know?" She said, "It's not important. Do you want individual classes or group classes?" I said, "I don't know." She said, "What day do you want classes?" I said, "It doesn't matter." I said, "Are these going to cost me anything?" She says, "Do you want to pay?" I said, "Well, I don't know." She said, "Well, it's up to you. It's all up to you. Everything's up to you." So I show up and she teaches me a lot about many forms of yoga. The last thing she did was she took me to a Theosophical meeting in Minneapolis. And she took me to this meeting and she said, "I think these are your people." And she said, "I'm moving to Oklahoma and I'm going to start a yoga center, but you should be working with these people." And I never saw her again. And sometimes I wonder if she really was a flight attendant. It's a strange story, I think, but I think that's how I became a theosophist. So since 1985, I've been active with off and on the Minneapolis Lodge. And then since then, I am not a journalist in the same sense that I once was. I write these books. Now, the book that I'm going to talk about tonight, this is on past lives, as I mentioned. It is one of a series of 4 new books that are totally different. And I did these for Schiffer, and I think they'll come out, all 4 of them, next year sometime. And they're going to be, get this, not books in the traditional sense with a cover and many pages. They'll be scrolls. So they're called the Ancient Mysteries, the Ancient Wisdom series of scrolls. So there'll be lucid dreams, energy healing, magical systems, and past lives initially. So the idea was they would be like poster-sized sheets, large sheets, and then they would be sequential numbered and then rolled up really tight and put into a tube. We thought this would be something new. It's really something old. But that's how I came to write this book. Now, I have a question for you. Since I can't see you or we can't speak, and that is, have you lived before? This is a personal question. Do you feel that you've lived before in previous lives? And so I think here we see the first slide. So I ask again the question, do you believe that you've lived before in previous lives? Because many people seem to recall past lives or have momentary glimpses into what they believe might be an earlier lifetime. I do. I'll bet you do too. It is difficult for us to objectively verify all of these little personal slips into possible past memories. Some have been studied and verified by proving the accuracy of these memories as something outside the life experience and knowledge of the person in this lifetime. But many other cases are hard to verify. They're anecdotal, highly subjective. Nonetheless, there seems to be something profound in all of this to the person who experiences these believed past life flashbacks. Certainly the information rings true for them. So we ask, well, where is the proof? What people often want is proof that they have actually lived previous lives. Dreams, visions, and fleeting glimpses into other lives can fill one with wonder and speculation into previous lifetimes. But what everyone wants, of course, is to verify that the experience is an accurate memory of a previous existence in another body. So then we come up with the interesting case of memories, deep memories, profound dreams, deja vu experiences, and oddly familiar feelings that we encounter when we enter rooms from time to time. People can explore the possibility of past lives and past life memories, it would seem. They can explore it in profound dreams of the past, and they experience deja vu experiences. And we encounter new people and places that seem remarkably familiar to us. I'm sure, like me, you've entered a room from time to time and felt oddly familiar there, like, wow, I've been here before. This seems so strangely familiar. But when? Where? It's not possible. I've never been here before. And so it is with people we encounter. They seem remarkably familiar to us in some way or another. Well, there are also documented cases of past lives to objectively validate the belief that we have all lived before. Now, I'd like to call your attention to the little emblem on this page because I love it. And if you've been to Olcott and you've been in the lobby and you've seen the beautiful wall murals there in Wheaton, you probably remember this. This is a prominent part of it. I think some people call this the sunburst. And we see this more and more often. And it is really telling of a theosophical point of view of past lives. The idea that the energized consciousness in the form of ultimate reality rains down from the heavens above to us like pulses, like waves. And we absorb and we process and we internalize this consciousness, this pure energy in the form of light. And we hold the light within us. And so we see in these projections, these light emanations, we see love and we see light as manifest on the earth within us. So we see the induced lucid dreams of the ancients. And these are very telling because from the beginning of our recorded history, we've had an interest in exploring our past, our past lives. And we see many civilizations from Mesopotamia to Egypt and Greece that have found merit in inducing lucid dreams in order to explore and learn. Now, these ancients even constructed dream temples for this purpose. Tibetan Buddhist dream yoga today, Hindu samadhi mystics, and Native American dream walkers today all continue to induce altered states of consciousness for lucid dreaming outside the physical body, outside normal time and space. For answers, who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? Where am I going? Insightful voyages of the spirit during heightened awareness. Now, their dreams are considered insightful and highly significant as a scheduled voyage of the spirit outside the body to explore and to learn in a heightened state of awareness. Shamans enter induced vision quests by consciously stilling the body and mind to enter a deep still point where their spirits soar far beyond normal time and space. The dream walker explores the past to speak to ancestors and bring back significant information of past lives to his tribe. And similarly, samadhi mystics train their yoga students, their chelas, to induce trance-like states of altered consciousness in deep dreams outside time and space. This involves deep meditation in which the body and the mind are put to rest to activate the higher mind. Tibetan Buddhist dream yoga also seeks enlightenment through induced lucid dreaming. One Buddhist approach is to view everything that occurs during the waking day as a dream to become, accustomed to dreams, and sharpen our dream appreciation. Another approach in dream yoga is to recall your dreams by meditating on them as soon as you awaken, as soon as the butterfly awakens. Now, we see all of this in the search for the reincarnated Dalai Lama. Tibetan Buddhists, they search for the rebirth of the last Dalai Lama as the spiritual leader by interviewing and testing children who seem to have uncanny knowledge of their fallen leader. The Dalai Lama has served as both political and spiritual leader of Tibet for more than 300 years. Maybe not now with the communist takeover, but for the last 300 years, a continuity of the work and knowledge of the deceased leader is important to this religious tradition. Based on history and tradition, Tibetan Buddhists believe that a dying Dalai Lama can select his next host. Upon the death of this holy leader, the high lamas of the Gelugpa tradition search for signs of a child who remembers intimate details of their past leader in ways the child could not normally know. A likely candidate is tested by the lamas. The process could take a long time. The high lamas examine potential candidates against a set of criteria and present the children with several objects they must identify as belonging to the previous Dalai Lama. Once a single candidate has been identified, the search committee reports findings to eminent people and then to the government. 13 holy ones have thus been selected since the first spiritual leader with the same sort of intimate past life recall. Here's our current Dalai Lama. Accounts of a near-death experience, or an NDA, offer proof of life beyond one's current physical body. What seems most striking about the documented cases of NDAs is when the person who is dead physically recalls experiencing consciousness outside the body. Typically, such a person experiences leaving the body in a conscious state of heightened awareness and becomes aware of the immediate surroundings. Now, what is most surprising is the clarity of recall beyond known time and space. Raymond Moody, PhD and MD, has written extensive case studies on this phenomenon based on clinical observation and interviews with NDE subjects. Dr. Moody was once a skeptic of reincarnation, but he adjusted his belief in past lives based on the extent of his research over the years. Moody launched a whole new area of exploration into what happens to us when we die, with evidence of past life based on clinical near-death experiences. Moody's clinical research into near-death cases and past life regression has been followed by study of many psychologists, psychotherapists, and others. Dr. Penny Sartori is a British intensive care nurse with a PhD in near-death research, and she has studied near-death experience cases of patients who were close to death during her 20 years as a nurse. Her observations are recorded in the popular books Wisdom of Near-Death Experiences and The Transformative Power of Near-Death Experiences. Her case studies indicate that both people with religious beliefs and people without religious backgrounds experience profound near-death experiences of life beyond this physical lifetime. Here's Dr. Moody's most famous book. Millions of copies sold of Dr. Moody's books. Where souls are reincarnated in new lives becomes then a question. Occasionally, someone will exhibit the surprising ability to speak a foreign language or play the piano without any known previous training. Past life memories are sometimes considered an explanation for this spontaneous ability. The ancient concept of a priori knowledge dates back to Plato's theory of recollection and was refined by 18th century philosopher Immanuel Kant to describe inherent intrinsic knowledge. This seems to be knowledge we inherit at birth, as it is not connected to actual life experience in one's current lifetime. But while many people seem to recall past lives in different cultures, others seem familiar in their new surroundings. This would explain maybe how surroundings and people seem strangely familiar to us from time to time. I'm sure you've experienced this. A possible explanation then would be that we choose where we reincarnate, and we choose exactly which people we want around us throughout time. There's Mr. Plato smiling down on us. Now, that brings up the interesting point of transmigration of souls. I can never quite get this out of my head. I'm an animal lover. You see the cat woman there? I think that's from the movie Cats. Now, the transmigration of souls is based on the long-held Hindu belief in metempsychosis, or transmigration of souls, from a person into a new body that is not human, but another animal form. Now, not every Hindu sect follows this belief in transmigration, but it is prevalent in this Hindu religious culture. The belief is not limited to India. In ancient Greece, Pythagoras and Plato believed that souls could be reincarnated in various animal forms. The concept is ingrained in the Orphic mysteries. The Druids of Gaul believed in transmigration of souls, and so did the pre-Christian Irish in some cases. Some Indonesians believe that some human souls are reborn in sacred animals prior to a new incarnation. And some Amazon tribes avoid eating deer that could contain ancestral souls. Even early Jews and Gnostics sometimes accepted transmigration of souls as a real possibility. American psychologist Michael Newton retired from a long career as a hypnotherapist before he recognized that many of his former patients shared a common past, a distant past that somehow connected them as a group, even beyond the grave. I was very fortunate to work at a publishing house, a book publisher, where Michael Newton brought his first of 3 wonderful books. Now, mind you, he sold over 1 million copies. Journey of Souls alone has sold like 800,000 copies. And he continues this, looking at the destiny of souls. Michael Newton showed up at our publishing house one day, and he had kind of a sketchy outline of a book. And he said it was based on his clinical observation. Well, we'd heard this before, not exactly like this, but, clinical case studies. And we said, how can you be sure, Dr. Newton, And he opened up this huge file and he started reading case files, always omitting the name of the person, of course. But he actually took detailed notes. And he found that many cluster groups of maybe 8 to 12 people seem to continue from life to life in new incarnations, sometimes meeting and sometimes not meeting, always together, always choosing to be together, always choosing a place where they could be together. And then upon death, they would all reunite for kind of a debriefing, a group debriefing, where they would identify themselves not how they looked in their human form, but as specks of light, as colored light, which he said would change over time as the souls would mature. Fascinating, fascinating breakthrough book. So I ask, are we working our way back to a divine source in heaven, paradise, or the absolute cosmic consciousness? Are we on an eternal loop of endless incarnations as essential life forms that will never end? Many visionary mystics such as Kirpal Singh and Rabazar Tars, probably the same person, claim to see beyond the mundane realm that we call our world to another higher plane of existence where new souls are sent forth. They are released on their own as emanations from an unmanifest reality to a manifest reality, like waves upon a vast ocean of love and mercy. They are dispatched with a sound or a song as consciousness with the fervent desire that they will remember their ultimate source and return to their ultimate source. They must return with the understanding that they are not isolated souls, but part of a whole that is incomplete until fully restored. So that brings us to the concept of group souls. Now, the concept that all lower life forms are part of a group soul, as conceived in, let's say, the Arantia book and elsewhere, suggests that people could be members of a group soul as well. A belief in group karma of associated members would seem to support that. So that brings us kind of to the point of the talk, the oneness of all. You see, in the serpent eating his tail, in the endless evolution. Some people see an even larger concept in their belief in the universal oneness of all life. This is more encompassing than cluster souls or group souls. It includes all of life as one soul. Many philosophies embrace the concept as a universal truth. Eastern spirituality speaks about the unity of all life, our union with the divine, in our attempts to vertically align ourselves with the one spirit that includes all of life. The concept springs from the common origin of all life. We must consider that we were once all star stuff or remnants of former celestial bodies, as Carl Sagan likes to say of our origins and mysteries of the cosmos. If all of life has a common origin, then perhaps we are all little parts or aspects of one cosmic whole. That brings me to my favorite subject, the electromagnetic field theory of Mr. Albert Einstein, James Clerk Maxwell, and Michael Faraday. And they postulate how electromagnetic energy radiates from the sun to the earth and throughout all of life, giving it life and transformative properties. Modern quantum physics describes a unified field theory that underlies and connects all of creation. This is similar, in a sense, to the esoteric principle of energized consciousness pulsing from the heavens above throughout all of creation to initialize and propel and sustain all of life. Scientist and philosopher Deepak Chopra said that every single thing in creation is an aspect of one field of consciousness. The whole never loses contact with its many parts, he said, nor are they ever lost or forgotten. The origin of life forms, Chopra said, is the differentiation of pure consciousness into multiple forms of life. I wonder if you have heard of the book, The Secret Life of Cells, how every cell in the body seems conscious of the whole, conscious of the activities and what is happening to cells elsewhere in the body. So it would seem, in a greater sense, all of the cosmos is interrelated and interdependent, all parts of the one. Brings us to an exploration in conscious dying. Western doctors, nurses, clinicians today approach hospice with a different approach, thanks in large part to an adaptation of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Conscious dying is preparing for physical separation in a state of full consciousness, which might be viewed in terms of Eastern spiritual science as heightened consciousness with heightened awareness. Often patients are encouraged to review their lives in preparation for the future that follows, to reconcile their concerns and diminish psychological pain. They are urged to rid themselves of worries of the past and remove anxieties. They might acknowledge their fears and resolve them. They might rid themselves of judgment and retribution. They learn to let go to prepare themselves to move forward, greeting the new dawn. We see outstanding examples of this approach, not only in Eastern spirituality, but also in Christianity. Conscious dying, then, is preparing for the exciting and promising process of transformation and the opportunity of fulfillment as a soul that longs for wholeness and unity with all of creation. In conscious dying, a person enters a state of inner peace, as in meditation, in heightened consciousness, allowing their body to go numb while the higher mind becomes keenly aware. The person stays conscious then at the very moment of death. So we look at the long journey of our soul. Many great myths preserve hidden esoteric truths about us and our human destiny. The arc of the hero's journey is one such recurrent myth that speaks deeply to people in their life course, from Ulysses in the Odyssey to Prince Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, and even Dorothy in the Land of Oz. Great life journeys of self-discovery have inspired us with heroism. Every one of us actually has a champion inside us. You have a champion inside you. That champion is your inner spirit, your essential life force, eager to explore. It is your inner hero, ready to heed the call to action, to lead you on a great journey of adventure and discovery. It is fearless of what lies ahead, unlike the frailty and timidity of our physical presence. The spirit within us is our real hero that longs to explore, learn, and grow. It yearns for freedom at every opportunity to see beyond what our eyes can see and what our little brains can comprehend. It knows that life is really about self-discovery. This is the journey of our soul. Our inner spirit, that eternal part of us, longs to discover its purpose by exploring and testing itself. It embarks on a journey in a new world, an unknown reality, a new realm. This new world is our material world of manifest energy. It seeks to learn things about itself and find its way home. That great homecoming is a return to source, a return to the universal flame of absolute consciousness. And upon return, the new hero is ready to embark on another journey. The journey of the soul is a never-ending story of self-discovery and spiritual evolution. So the soul returns again and again to the journey in the unknown world. I would like to just read a small passage from the Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 2, verse 20 of the Bhagavad Gita, the Song of the Lord. Quote, "The soul is neither born, nor does it ever die, nor having once existed does it ever cease to be. The soul is without birth, eternal, immortal, and ageless. It is not destroyed when the body is destroyed." I would like to suggest some possible exercises. The exercises that I would like to suggest would be involving induced lucid dreams. Now, you don't need a dream temple, but what you do need to do is set yourself up for a lucid dream. Most people, of course, would kind of have a spontaneous, unplanned lucid dream and say, whoa, that was really amazing. I wonder if it was real. A lucid dream is where you enter a waking meditation and you put your body to sleep and you still your inner voices. You tune out the external distraction. You consciously focus your attention on putting your body to sleep. I suggest from the tips of your toes, working up all the way to the top of your head to where your body becomes numb. The body's asleep. You begin controlled deep breathing. And you pattern your breathing so that you hold the breath in for maybe 3 seconds. Then you expel it for 3 seconds, conscious of the energy all around you as you take it in, process it, and send it out with your blessing. Becoming one with the all, you cease all thought, all internal dialogue, all words. You reach a still point deep within you where you see with your mind's eye into a blankness. And then you begin to project what you would like to see. You would like to have a dream of your past life. And this can be quite amazing. You can actually induce a dream that is very lucid, and it will be revealing as to what you've actually lived before. Now, this is similar to a technique where psychologists or hypnotherapists would take you back to an earlier time in your life as a child. The beauty of what Dr. Michael Newton did in Journey of Souls is he asked his patients, without knowing they go so far back, he said, go back as far as you can. Go back, go back, go back. Well, some of them didn't stop when they were a toddler. Some of them went back to a previous life. Some of them went back to a life between lives. And that's how he compiled his book. And you can do this. This is a technique that can be learned and practiced. I suggest that you recline on your back, maybe on a nice firm mat with your legs and arms extended, maybe at 45-degree angles, loose-fitting clothing, quiet room, alone. You can give yourself time. I mean, don't set a clock. Just let it happen. It'll take as long as it takes to happen. Another technique for exercising to explore past lives would be meditation. The meditation I would suggest is where you actually give yourself the idea, if you will, the post-hypnotic suggestion that when you reach a deep meditative level, you're going to begin looking for your past lives. That's what you're seeking. The meditation that I would suggest is more like a samadhi meditation, where you go into a deep, deep, deep active meditation. You maybe will position yourself on your back. You could do this on a chair as long as your feet are firmly on the ground and your shoes removed. You have an erect posture. Otherwise, on your back, arms and legs outstretched, 45-degree angles. Never cross anything. Allow the energy to flow within you. That is your energy. That is your conscious energy. You need that. Slowly begin to put yourself to sleep by focusing your attention on your feet. Let them go numb, go to sleep, and then work your way up. Your torso, the same. Your chest, your arms, your leg, your neck, your head. Just consciously focus on every part of your body to put it to sleep, and then tune out all external and internal distractions. Cease words or thoughts. Meditate in terms of pictures. Form a picture once you reach a point of stillness within you and you're looking into a void. Form a picture on this blank screen in front of you with your mind's eye. Form a picture on this screen in front of you of what you want to learn and what you want to explore. If you want to explore past life, say, I want to explore past life. If you want to know the purpose of the past life, then you put that on the screen. The idea is that you create, you draw, you paint this image without words. No words. The brain should stop functioning. The mind should cease to operate. Your higher consciousness of your higher self should at that point be creating exactly the map it needs to follow. And then once that picture is formed in front of you, once you've drawn it, sketchy as though it may be, it is your own personal roadmap and you will follow it. And you give yourself permission to go and to follow it. This is a deep samadhi type meditation. This is like meditations that young chelas of this form of yoga wisdom would learn in their earliest dreams and earliest meditations to explore their own reality. Also, I would suggest to you to study the exercises in the meditation exercises in the book, The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. It's been a great source for me. You know, the book is written in like 3 forms. The second form is all, you know, mysticism. The third form is all basically magic. You know, it is high yoga. It is high samadhi wisdom exercise. So I would suggest for readings, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. I would suggest the Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. I would suggest many books that I've discussed here, but primarily, most importantly, Life Beyond Lies by Raymond Moody. And I would suggest that you look up, if you don't already know it, Annie Besant's classic, Oh Hidden Life, because it's very important to this discussion. In 1923, Annie Besant, then the president of the Theosophical Society, she wrote these lines in Oh Hidden Life. The words have been known as a sort of universal prayer or universal invocation. It's simple, yet the words possess magical power, like a mantra. And she wrote, "Oh hidden life, vibrant in every atom. Oh hidden light, shining in every creature. Oh hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May all who feel themselves as one with thee know they are therefore one with every other." Now you say, why hidden? Why did she say hidden? Isn't life self-evident? We're looking here at the spirit or unmanifest energy behind all of life. Whereas Taimi, in Glimpses into the Psychology of Yoga, suggests, quote, "The ultimate reality exists only in the ever unmanifest. That is the hidden life that underlies all of manifestation." And then she writes, "Oh, hidden light shining in every creature." What does that mean? Well, we invoke a hidden light, a light that shines within us. The one reality, when it manifests, becomes light. And then let's look at the line, "Oh, hidden love, embracing all in oneness." Well, love embraces all in oneness. The one has become the many, and out of unity comes multiplicity. All life is held in the one, embraced by the pure relationship that arises when life and light become one and come into existence. May all who feel themselves as one with thee, what does that mean? The one supreme reality combining life, light, and love, the Trinity, life, light, and love, becomes acutely felt through consciousness, focused awareness that overwhelms us. And then let's look at her last line. "No, they are therefore one with every other." Well, this is an affirmation of the certainty of knowledge. As we evolve spiritually, it is imperative that we not only feel, but we also know with certainty. You know, it's one thing to know something, but to really know, you know, is something much deeper. You know, it is like in Gnosticism, the gnosis, the knowing. This is what we're talking about, that kind of certainty. This becomes an exercise then of evolved consciousness on our part. So this is my presentation, and I'm sorry that we were not all together as I had hoped. It was a pleasure to be with you, and I want to thank the Theosophical Society in America of Wheaton, Illinois, for sponsoring this webcast. And I want to thank the special help of Stephen Pollock for putting together the PowerPoint And I know it's a short presentation, but I hope that it makes you interested in exploring some of the topics we've opened here today.